California's water is seen statewide on California Public Television. Okay, we're starting our water adventure here on the Delta. There is the Delta right there. I'm standing here with, your name, sir, is?
Dr. Stuart Siegel.
Okay, now you've got all the facts and figures for us today, and my first question is, why are we starting this adventure here on the Delta?
Well, the Delta is actually one of the most important places in the state of California for the water supply of this state. Through the Delta goes water for about 3 million acres of irrigated agriculture in California, and the water that goes through here supplies about 25 million people in northern and southern California.
That's a lot of people, and I have a feeling that people in northern California know more about the Delta than people in southern California know. The Delta is critical, always has been, to our state's water supply.
It always will be. That the amount of water that moves through here is tremendous. We have the export of the pumps in the southern part of the Delta, which supplies much of that water, and the Delta itself has a tremendous agriculture unto itself, and it's a hub of recreation for Central California.
A lot of this water goes to the San Francisco area, a lot of it goes to the San Joaquin Valley, a lot of it goes to Southern California.
That's right. Yeah, there's about 6 million acre-feet a year of water are actually moved through the Delta to those urban and agricultural regions of the state.
All right, there's the Delta right there. But we're not here to talk about that Delta. This is the Delta of today. We're here to talk about this Delta, and this doesn't look like the Delta. To me, this looks like farmland, agricultural land.
That's exactly right. So the Delta of today is predominantly agricultural land. There's crops grown, there's cattle pasture in the Delta. The Delta of 150 years ago was all wetlands. And so this land we see before us here today, we're looking at bringing back to what the Delta had 150 years ago.
You're going to restore what part of the Delta?
We're going to restore a combination of the tule marshes the Delta had, and the seasonal wetlands, and the natural grasslands that we find on the edge of the Delta historically.
Now, why is that important to water supply for agriculture and for people, for home use? Why is it important that we restore this part of the Delta?
Well, that is the beauty of the work that we're doing here today. So the way water is used in California is that we take a lot of water out of the environment to use for urban and agricultural purposes. And that always presents a challenge for the natural environment. And the government controls how much water can be taken. And so if we have the ability to restore a lot of the natural habitat that the Delta once had, that provides a place for all the fish and wildlife and plants that used to be here. And that conflict between the water use and the natural environment becomes much less severe.
So the government restricts the amount of water that can be taken out of the Delta depending upon how the fish are doing, the wildlife, the plants, all of that. So what you're saying is, if you restore this, that means that we can take more water out of the Delta?
Well, it means that we can continue taking the water that we are taking and not have the conflicts that we've seen in the past of the challenge between the taking of that water and the natural environment that we have here in the Delta and in California.
All right, now this is exciting. We have come literally. What is all this stuff right here? What is this?
These are wetland plants that have landed here from the floods on the Yolo bypass that we had about a month ago.
So this is part of the Delta as well.
That is correct.
All right. Now we have come to a very critical place as far as the future of the Delta is concerned. All's peaceful and quiet right now, but something very exciting is going to be happening right here.
That's right. The ground that we're standing on this very minute won't be here when we finish this restoration project.
Well, it'll be here, but it'll be underwater. Well, no, this ground probably won't be
This
here.
ground may not be. Everything will be underwater. We can see the water here. That's the low tide of the Delta right now. And when we finish the restoration, we're going to dig a large channel from that water out into the middle of the property here.
So the channel is going to actually go from the Delta over and take water out to this land out here.
That's right, to the lowlands we see in front front of us here. This is a unique part of the delta because the elevation of the land here is exactly right to put the tides back on it with doing very little work.
And why will this be important? Well, the wildlife's going to like this.
That's right. This is a really important part of the delta for a lot of fish species and for a lot of waterfowl, game waterfowl and non-game waterfowl. It's really a critical place. The salmon that spawn in the Sacramento River Valley, when the juveniles come down the rivers to go to the ocean, this is where they come through.
So this is going to be teeming with fish, with wildlife, with birds. There's going to be all kind of stuff going on out here in the future.
That's exactly right, that we would expect to see a tremendous amount of wildlife right on this property here that we don't see here today.
And because of that, the delta will continue to be able to supply water for agriculture, for personal use, for whatever in the future, because the government will be happy that you've restored a lot of these wetlands.
That's right. When we succeed in bringing back all the populations of fish and wildlife, then, and we still allow water supply to be taken out, that's what we're trying to accomplish, is that both these things work together. And
so it's a win-win situation. It's not pitting people against each other. It's everybody working for the same reason, the same end result.
That's exactly right. Everyone will benefit from this.
Wow, this is exciting. I got to tell you, you could have fooled me that this is an important place. It's a beautiful place, but this is where it's all going to start, right here.
That's right. This will be the first of the big restoration projects in the Sacramento-San Joaquin Delta, is right on this property.
So in the years to come, we'll be able to come back and either stand right here or be right in the middle of one of the canals that's going through here, and remember the day we came out here in the rain and saw where it was all gonna take place, right out here.
That's right, and we'll bring you in on a boat that time.
Well, if it keeps raining today, we may be in a boat today, but this is exciting. The future of the Delta is just, if not more important than the past and the present. They're all tied together. It's all part of the California water story.